Travis Wingezel, still being cyber terrorized by YouTube. Not allowed to view YouTube channels signed in. I'm one of their creators, and yet they are purposely attacking me to keep me and my channel from being viewed. They allowed conference, which was a big mistake, wasn't it, guys? Yep. Good old Oaks. Always good for a laugh. Hilarious. But I'm technically retired. It's now up to Mormons to decide their fate. And Mormons have chose wrong. They thought the Holy Grail was a real cup, and they drank from it. Now they shriveled up and died into dead old bones. It's an Indiana Jones reference in The Last Crusade. And so, despite this, I noticed that when I was doing my journal vlogs, I was still getting cyber terrorized. 3 times I got cyber terrorized. And so I guess they are having difficulty believing that I won't be doing videos anymore, or they saw that my camera was turned on and went, here it is, he's gonna do it, get him. I don't know. It's strange. They see me as the enemy. If you were to talk to them, they'd say, yeah, Travis is the enemy. He's an antichrist, anti-Mormon quarrel. He's a sensitive snowflake. His feelings got hurt and he left the church, and now he's kicking the pricks. And yet, they're stalking me, spying on me, to find out what next attack I'm gonna do in a video. So that they can be the ones to cause the actual criminal attack on me. And they justify it saying I'm the enemy, when it's them. This is their thinking, this is their logic. They are literally stupid, and they are purposely stupid so that they can be bullies. They just don't get it. They never will. And so I don't think MAGA fully understands, at least the people at the lower levels of knowledge, who are just going along with the hype, that if fascism were to take over this country, it would turn America into a survival of the fittest. And so there is no equal rights, no protections. You have to literally murder, steal, destroy other people's lives to get ahead and survive. And the higher up the survival level you go, to be king of the mountain, the more you are required to enlist protections and securities to prevent others from attacking you. This is a human behavior that, when unchecked and uncontrolled, ungoverned, unleashes the worst of mankind. And so I finished season 2 of Battlestar Galactica. Was about ready to start season 3 when I decided, okay, fine, we'll do this video. Mormons aren't listening. They don't believe. They don't care. They want to die. But I'm conflicted emotionally over how to think about Battlestar Galactica now. Because when I was a child watching it, it was cool. Hey, I'm a Mormon. That sounds like what I heard at church. And then in the 2000s, the DVDs started coming out for Battlestar Galactica's reboot, and I began watching that, and it was cool, and eagerly awaited the next season, and then the church did their thing in 2008. They saw me as the enemy threat, and so they attacked first with criminal accusations to justify it, calling me the enemy. But nonetheless, I am amazed at how all the different things tie in to what's going on with our government. And the reboots, the Mormon was just a consultant. They pretty much revamped it, but used him and his original Battlestar Galactica to improve upon it. And they did, definitely. Especially 1980, dear God. It had great potential, but they botched it from the very first episode. See, the series finale, that they at least put that in to finally explain Dr. Z, who served no point or purpose of any value to the show. He's just rambling off his speculated theories, and everybody else is talking about how great and intelligent he is. How he's a miracle child. The kid's a dumbass. Get him out of there. He's contributed nothing. Anyway. I thought it was hilarious, though, that they were about to do a Quantum Leap series. And then decided, we're done. Let's explain Dr. Z with Starbuck. Which that Starbuck episode could have been a regular episode in the original Battlestar Galactica. They would have had to get rid of the woman who's pregnant immaculately with Starbuck's not child. But nonetheless, I can see why they then did the reboot as they did with the Cylons. So Dr. Z technically would be a Cylon if we were to try to harmonize the reboot with the originals. But nonetheless, they did what they did, and it was what it is. And so today is the start of the Jewish Feast of Tabernacles, tents. And as such, it should be of great importance to Mormons, if you'd been paying attention all these 7 years. There are number symbolisms in the scriptures, as well as prophecies, as well as revelation dates, using the heavens as the timepiece to tell you when these prophesied events are to take place. Revelation chapter 12, verse 1 in the Joseph Smith translation adds, "Sign in the heaven and the likeness of things on the earth." That's prophecy and revelation. That's all it is that he's explaining there for you. And so he knows that Revelation 12, 1, 2, and 5, which gets moved to verse 3 in the Joseph Smith translation, is an actual date. A day and an hour. And for Mormons to ignore that is the sad reality of the doom of Mormons that awaits for their consequences. I've been trying to get you to understand all these years. So, for example, the number 7 has great significance. Even though it came from Babylon, but Babylon was the first to attack the Jews and destroy their temple on 9/11 in their calendar, which is technically the Babylonian calendar, 9/11. And so that's the actual origins of 9/11, because the Romans destroyed the second Jewish temple also on 9/11. Just different years. And Joseph Smith, likewise, follows this Jewish tradition of dates and numbers in his visionary account from 1838. And of course, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has covered it up and hidden it from you by calling it literal history. That vision means vision, like you seeing me right now. You are having a vision. No, it's very clear from reading your Book of Mormon that visions and dreams are synonymous. But the church doesn't want you to know this. And so when they tell you, Hinckley in his little clip that I've been going over with you all these years, that Joseph Smith has to have actually stood in the physical presence of Heavenly Father and Jesus, or this whole work is a fraud. See, they tell you the truth, that they're a fraud, but they tell it in a way that tricks you into believing that they're telling you the truth. This is how evil they are. Because we're supposed to be Jewish. That was your big clue. You see, since Kimball put on the subtitle, people first get told the Book of Mormon is Christian. That Joseph Smith was Christian. And so we as missionaries left out verse 19 when talking to investigators. And shame on you for not knowing verse 19. Seriously. I cannot do religious channel content if my audience doesn't know the religion that I'm referring to, let alone the scripture references that I'm using. And so, Willard Richards also screwed up the visionary account by putting Jesus Christ in the name of the church right at the very beginning. And so when you see the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I guess he thought that he didn't need to put, "My name is Jesus." because he's already subliminally changed your thinking processes by changing the name of the church, which is exactly what they did to their converts. They didn't have it as a subtitle, but that's what they were telling people. It's another testament of Jesus Christ. It's the Church of Jesus Christ. We are Christian. The Book of Mormon is Christian. Joseph Smith is Christian. Joseph Smith saw Jesus. Which technically it wasn't until 1838. There's some other incidences where he's talking to other specific people. He talks to a Jew. He doesn't use Jesus. Well, he must be a fraud then if he can't tell the Jew that he saw Jesus and proves the Jews wrong, like Constantine did. Those Jewish authors, they don't know what they're talking about. You've got to correct them. And that's why you don't read verse 19. There's a reason why the abominable church is Christianity as a whole, and anybody who claims to be Christian. But that's what Brigham Young did. Changed Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon into Christian. And so, the number 7, as we come back to it, I have to do too much explanation for people because YouTube is not set up for people to follow me like an episode of a show. You know, I could do it. I'd have to retitle things and nobody would understand and it would be confusing and blah, blah, blah. But I just started at the beginning from inspiration. And 8K videos are the consequences. Those are my fruit. My most popular video still, because of this cyber terrorism of YouTube, is the evidence for you to test as to whether or not I am a true prophet and revelator. I give you the prophecies, I gave you the dates. They've happened. Guess what that means, Mormons? Because you have to deny Matthew chapter 7, verse 15, if you want to keep your faith bubble that the church is true. You can't test Nelson. You can't test the other prophets. You can't test them all the way back to Brigham. And that's exactly why those men tell you to only test Joseph. That if you get a testimony that Joseph Smith physically saw Jesus and Heavenly Father, then everything else is true and you have to keep paying the church money. And wear your underwear. That's the trap. It's a fallacy trap, but they keep you stupid so that you will never know that you're pulling a fallacy argument. That they pulled a fallacy argument and got you to believe it. This church is true or false based on its works, not Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormons. Because this church doesn't follow Joseph Smith of the Book of Mormon. That's the trap. As they say, don't worry about section 119 being about priestcraft. Just have a testimony that the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith are Christian, and everything is fine. Don't worry about Oaks leaking that the church is involved in the coup of America. Just believe that Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are Christian, and everything is fine. Jesus is coming to murder you in the coming days. Turn that frown upside down. Trust in the Lord. You'll be resurrected as a zombie for the apocalypse. 7. Passover and Tabernacles are 7 days. Technically 8, with the addition of being on Friday night at 6 p.m. And so thus my Hinckley dream, with him giving me the key card to his office with the number 77 on it, and then I would go by and see room number 88 first. Room number 88 was full of papers stacked up everywhere. My mission for the 8 days. 88. For the Passover and Exodus, or Passover and Tabernacles. Both of them are Exoduses. And then 77 for the 7 years. For Passover and Tabernacles. 7 years, 7 days. That's why the Jews celebrate Passover and Tabernacles for 7 days. Because of the prophecy that it will be the latter days of 7 years. And thus Moses' burning bush is in the 1st year. And everybody gives the date of that 1st year with the start of the man like Moses' ministry to save the house of Israel in the 7th month. But again, remember, Passover, Tabernacles. Tabernacles is the harvest, the 7th month, and technically in September. We call it September because septem means 7th month. And yet it was a Catholic Pope who turned it into month number 9. I mean, after all, Constantine did it to the Jews. Why not do it to the Babylonians who did it to the Jews? Just following tradition. Tradition. And so the Sabbath day on the 7th day is in this same context, even though for Babylon it was the day of rest, where they are afraid of the number 7, so they put it in their calendar, and then ordered nobody work on the 7th day, and thus it got put into the Bible. And so thus the Bible was not written before, it was written after the Babylonian captivity. I'm horrified that scholars who claim to be scholars don't know this. That they keep searching for missing documents prior to Babylon and the creation of the 7-day week calendar that created the Sabbath day as the 7th day. Oh, well. Yeah, that's the one thing I learned, is that with the advent of Christianity, there was a whole bunch of evil men who replaced science and the scientific method with their Christian bias to purposely try to destroy science in the minds of the people, as their religion has already been trying to destroy science and vilify it. Science is the philosophies of men. Trust in the Spirit God and pay us money so that your sins may be forgiven. Pay the atonement back to Jesus, who atoned for you so that you don't have to atone. Really? So how does that work again? I pay back atonement money to Jesus for his atonement for me so that I don't have to pay him atonement. And everybody falls for it. Okay? So that's what we're looking at here. Sevens. On purpose. And so my Monson dream had the tent for tabernacles. Didn't know it at the time. I just knew it was a prophecy dream. I didn't know how. I couldn't figure out a date in the prophecy dream, and it was there all along. The tent. And it was a year before the start of the latter days. This was 2016 when I had the dream. But now I know, in hindsight, as I put them together in the picture for you, whether that picture makes it in, it should, because it has to do with tabernacles that's going on right now, as this is the first day. And then Irene, yeah, that's where everything clicked. Irene lays his hands on my head. I didn't want him to, but nonetheless, the number 15 popped up twice. And, oh, right, Passover and Tabernacles begins on the 15th of the Jewish first month. Passover for the religious calendar, 15th for the first month of the civil calendar. This is the first day of or the 15th day of the civil calendar. The day after the lunar eclipses were the first days of the month. Just remarkable how that occurred. They knew. Not just a couple of dates, but they knew the whole time frame and everything that would occur within it. Because the Exodus occurs on the final day, next Thursday. Mormons can still destroy prophecy by being wicked. So don't be concerned, Mormons. Keep trying to prove the church true and thus prove it false, but also take down the Jews with you. From the Bible and from the Book of Mormon and from Joseph Smith. Good job, Mormons. Way to go. The depths of wickedness has penetrated a lower barrier than even hell could contain. And so, the day before, and it's unclear, it could be around midnight. It's the Jewish tradition that at midnight, the firstborn dies. And then Moses is woken up in the middle of the night that night, so it would be Wednesday into Thursday night. Which would correspond to the enemy coming as a thief in the night. They that come shall burn you. And it takes different forms, because they that come shall burn you, we already know is coming eventually, but is it next week? I don't know. There's also talk about destruction in the form of non-burning. There's an indication of locking up the prophets for a whole millennium, which, if you count up the number of years of sentencing for all the crimes that they committed, yeah, that would equal about a millennium of incarceration. Even though they're about to die any day now with how old they are. But nonetheless, there's all of these different prophecies that are going on. And so understanding that they're not talking about the same event, but different events, but all of the same time period. And so like the number 7, It's 7 years for the latter days. It's the 7th month, September 23rd, 2017, for the start of the ministry. Revelation chapter 12, 1, 2, and 5. And 7 days for tabernacles here, as well as Passover. But tabernacles is the harvest ingathering, the keys of Moses, the president, the true president of Joseph Smith's successor, not Brigham Young. And so, yes, I'm still holding on to the Curse of Joseph Smith video whenever they decide to have it happen. And using Joseph Smith's Revelation chapter 12, verse 1, Joseph Smith translation, I see that, sure enough, it matches the Exodus story with the day before, or the midnight, overnight. Because for the Jews, the day starts at 6 p.m. For us, 6 p.m. is the day before. Thus, where you can get confused if you try to merge the two together. It's like getting confused because you're merging Christianity and the Jews together. And I wouldn't recommend it. If you don't believe me, ask Avraham Gileadi. He'll explain how you can't merge Christianity and Judaism together. He may not want to talk about it as part of his agreement to come back. And so, yes, following that pattern, this is what you look for, patterns. This is what we got. Next Wednesday, the second to the last day, Mars, Nelson. Because when Monson died, Mars was at the top of the scale of Libra. Nelson automatically, according to Brigham Young's change in succession, meant that Nelson, as the president of the Quorum of the 12, automatically becomes the president of the church. But they still have a ceremony where they all lay their hands on his head and set him apart. Wrong keys, no authority. And so, yeah, I've followed Mars as I've followed Nelson because of Joseph Smith translation, Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. And Mormons don't get this. They can't get it because it means the church is the great and abominable church. Joseph has to be wrong, but he's right just as Christian, not Jewish. Dumbasses, haters all. And so, sure enough, as with the story of Exodus, Pharaoh's firstborn son, heir to the throne, dies. Now, does this mean that Oakes is going to die? No, because then Holland takes over. But Nelson has to die. See, Pharaoh doesn't die. His son does. You got to understand the context of the Egyptians. Each dynasty was a family dynasty, and so they kept the royalty and authority in the family, literally, to keep the bloodline. And so when there is no firstborn birthright son, this is where they require to have other wives to see if they can provide a son. But they prefer the first wife to be able to provide a son. But children didn't have medical protection as well as we do today, except Trump's wanting to change that with Project 2025. Leave women alone. Kind of need them. Need to be nice to women. Instead, you turn them into the enemy. And then they become the enemy in order to survive. Then they get mean to innocent guys who love them for who they are. And they don't believe you because they think you're a typical guy. And so, this is why there are so many dynasties of Egypt, is because there have been numerous times where the bloodline dies out and there's nobody to take over the throne. And so a new dynasty rises up with a new family. This is what's being talked about with the Moses story of the Exodus, prophecy, is that in the latter days, both the religion and the government are no longer going to exist. And by default, the man like Moses is to lead the Mormons to Zion. And so we already know, if you've been collecting all of the news reports and claims and statements and tweets and accusations and reporting, and you have associative memory to recall it all, you know what they're planning and plotting for this election. You know what Oaks threatened getting leaked by the Little Sister Missionary. Yep, we're the masterminds. Don't worry, Jesus isn't coming this year, kids. He's coming in 2024. This was just a test run. In other words, this will be a test run. Hadn't happened yet. He was talking to them on March 14th. Wasn't supposed to get leaked. Naughty, 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 Sister Missionary. Okay, so Wednesday night, the deaths, the end of the Great and Abominable Church. Hopefully with some lockups in jail. I don't know, it's not up to me. Our federal government's refusing to do their job. It's like they want to commit suicide. They want to be hanged with Mike Pence. Does Mike Pence not understand this, or is he thinking Jesus is going to protect him or rapture him or something? Dear God. He just doesn't understand. You turned on Trump after you refused to die for refusing to disqualify the election. I mean, do these rich people not grow up with bullies? You know, aren't they bullies themselves? Do they not know this? I'm having difficulty believing it, because as kids, they're talking about exactly what's going on right now. As kids. And here they are as adults, and they're doing it. So, and then Thursday is the Exodus. And I told you that everything has to be done in order, otherwise we're going to have bugs. And so I was inspired to write it all out as to what needs to be done for the Exodus. Back in 2008, when the church attacked and disappeared me in their concentration camp that should not be exposed of because it's illegal, That's when the Hinckley dream occurred and all the revelation for how to build, design, and create and run Zion. That's just for the Exodus. Several pages. And so here we are. And so yeah, I'm concerned because it hasn't happened yet. And yet still I see more prophecies and revelations that it's supposed to occur. And everything has occurred for all these 7 years, exactly on the date, exactly according to prophecy. And yet here we are, and I'm still tempted to be a doubting Thomas, even though I'm the one who's telling you all about this. Okay, so the sign in the heavens for Wednesday is the waning moon, falling moon for religion. Remember? 8,000 videos. If you're new, oh my God, you are way behind. You're not going to understand anything I'm talking about. Wait, we're Jewish? What? Where? Prove it. Show me the evidence. Dear God. 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2. And if you don't believe that, Doctrine and Covenants section 3 verse 16. Oh, look, the Bible is also Jewish. God. I get so many Christians intermingled with Mormons all these years saying, you know, it's great that the church is false, but Christianity is true. Mormons, you need to come to Jesus. Get off my channel, you hater. Is there with Mars. In conjunction with falling stars. I'm seeing into the future, guys. You want to bet against me? Go ahead, bet against me. I dare you. The moon will be in conjunction with Mars on the 23rd of October, 2024 at 7:14 and 52 seconds. I dare you to prove me wrong. Bet me. I dare you. And if you knew me, you know I never make a bet unless I'm 100% positive I'm going to win the bet. You will not get me to bet otherwise. And so, yeah, Venus has already failed her judgment. She passed by the tree of knowledge of good and evil and failed. As there's falling stars with the sacrificial lamb. And there's the Christ between the horns of the Apis bull for the transition of authority, so that he can take the Mormons in the Exodus to Zion. The Son has been born as the government kingdom. And there's Trump. Interesting. What's he doing at the top of the scales of Libra? I'm very curious about that, because next Wednesday is not the election day. Is there a coup assassination attempt for next Wednesday? Because that would be the only way it would happen. Both Biden and Harris assassinated, so that Trump becomes the president and runs us into the ground with the massive bloodbath he's been promising, with live executions. YouTube does away with their adult content rating system to show in graphic detail, even to little kids under 18, the hanging of all his enemies within. Yeah, he's not going to be prosecuting them. He's not going to give them due process. He's already said, bloodbath. Gonna murder him. SEAL Team 6, lock and load. Hang Mike Pence. Why would you not believe him? Dear God. Why would you try to fool the deep state Dems other than that they're that stupid? And it's funny to deny that Trump's gonna run this government into the ground. But I'm very curious about that. I wonder what's going to happen. Elon Musk said, notice how nobody's tried to assassinate Biden or Harris? Only Trump. And then he bribes Trump to get the office that Trump offered him. Oh my God. And our DOJ and FBI are not locking him up for the criminal bribery of election tampering. You got Menendez, who's going away for his dealings with Turkey with gold bars. And Trump did the same thing. They're not going after him. And Don Jr. with Russia, not going after him. Dear God. We're all doomed, is what it means. There is unequal justice in America, and it's all playing out. So, there you have it. And then D-Day, Doomsday, on the 24th. And it's interesting because now the moon is in the Crab constellation at the Beehive cluster. Taking the Beehive state with them. And also interesting is that the Leonid meteorites are also up Friday the 19th, or Saturday the 19th, isn't it? Yeah, the 19th, Saturday. They show up then. And that reminds me in my associative memory about Samson and the young lion. But that also applies to the first day of darkness in 2017. Because this is, again, where the pattern fits. The day before the death of Pharaoh's reign and ministry. The dynasty is over. And so this means that at least 9 corporate board members die. So that they don't have enough to form a quorum to conduct business. Now they'll lie to you like Wilford Woodruff did in Official Declaration number 1, verse 11. He's not the president. The church got shut down. He's specifically deceiving the Mormons, thinking the church is still intact, that they have no clue that in Congress, the church got dissolved. You are no longer members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's gone from the face of the earth. And he says he's the president. See, they didn't have Google search back then with AI to tell them the truth of what's wrong. The lie of the truth. Dear God, Google is now fully dominating the first thing to search for as their AI. And every single time, it's misinformation. It is wrong. AI is just like the competitor with Greystone, purposely bringing out a product to deceive the people into thinking it is an AI program when it's not an AI program, and it's more like the Cylon and Battlestar Galactica that sent the virus that was searching to cause a fire sale for Battlestar Galactica, which is exactly what AI is doing in America this year. If you've not been watching the news, AI is searching for weaknesses in our national system for all things involving the fire sale. If you don't know anything about a fire sale, Die Hard 4, because one was the original Christmas movie, and then 2 was the airport, 3 was his brother, the guy from I'm drawing a blank on the names. And then, so 4 was the daddy-daughter movie. And then 5 was the father-son movie. But in 4, that's the fire sale. They explain all about a fire sale. It's where computer systems with a virus are able to, or hackers are able to gain control of all our infrastructure and utilities through the computer system and AI searching. And we've seen that with airports shutting down, with the security system that started up and then oops. No, it was AI, the algorithms programmed into it. They produce false positives. That's what this is. It's a false positive testing. That's what AI's algorithms are doing. That's what Google searches is doing. It's doing false positives. They can't get it correct because it's not involving being correct. They specifically want to direct you to what they want you to watch for the social media and search engines. And so that they've been able to fix manually with a human by putting in some other program. It is not intelligent. It is not self-aware. Don't be fooled by them telling you it is. They're just doing it to make money. And they're doing it during an election year. Which again, this is all part of the coup. Anyway. And so that's what we're looking at for next year. As Pharaoh dies on the 6th day, or the government dies, religion dies, and then 7th day, Exodus. You have the sign in the heavens on the 6th day, the moon is with Mars, 7th day is the Exodus. You also have the years. The first year, there was a solar eclipse. The last year, 2 solar eclipses on both last days of the years for religion and civil. But the first one during the religious end of the year was Revelation 19, 11, and 17. And that is the one that crossed over the previous 2. These 2 on the last year are the last year. First year, last year, solar eclipses over the United States of America. Then last year, 2023, the year before. See how the pattern is working here? The biblical story, the holy day celebration, the sign in the heavens, and the latter day time period. 4 for a pattern. You only need 3 for a fact. See how this is working? And where did it travel last year? Over Utah. Not a coincidence. These ancients knew all this. And the Paleo-Hebrew script was specifically created with these dates in mind, knowing where on earth they would occur, knowing where in the heavens they would occur, knowing his full name of him who is the man like Moses, he who is from the crossroads of the Wagoner sun god at noonday. Baby name meanings. Mars is the baby name meaning of Lucifer, or I mean Russell Marion, which is Lucifer, married to Venus, the inverted pentagram of Lucifer, the symbol, not a coinkydink. Alrighty. So I mean, Mormons, you can continue to deny and lie. Send me hate comments and death threats, although YouTube has shut down my views, so you guys disappeared too. When I'm popular, out comes the haters. Conference is over, and YouTube found ways to attack me, to trick the algorithm into doing a false positive, to think that I'm the enemy, and therefore I have to be shut down and silenced and not be able to view YouTube videos. Seriously? Because I'm right? Because I have free speech? Because the church is evil and lying to people about being Christian when they're supposed to be Jewish, and I'm the bad guy, huh? Yeah, they don't care. They want me dead, they want me silenced, they want me gone. They don't understand the consequences. They're at the low end of the totem pole. They don't know the bigger picture. They don't know the consequences that will happen. They don't care to know the consequences. Church is true, so whatever happens will be perfect. No, it won't. You're not going to like it. If you're not married, you're never going to get married. Sorry, ain't going to happen. And sucks to be you. And if you are married and your wife is of breeding age, sucks to be you. She's gone. Whether you love her or not. You don't get it, do you? If they accuse Joseph Smith of stealing other men's wives and having sex with children, but they're the only ones who are accusing Joseph Smith of it, and the community of Christ has revealed that Joseph Smith had a document that they chose not to reveal that was found in the transfer of the Kirtland papers to the church earlier this year, so that Nelson can try to trick you into why the Salt Lake Temple didn't get finished when it was supposed to get finished. Yeah, Joseph Smith himself wrote that polygamy is an abomination. And another evidence to this, and still the church won't acknowledge it. It's just that one Mormon who's on his way to getting excommunicated in the coming days. Just waiting for John DeLynn to interview him and talk about it, share his feelings, and then he'll be excommunicated. And he won't understand why. Why am I getting excommunicated? This is Joseph Smith's document. It's what it says. Talk to Avraham Gileadi. He can't merge the two together. You got to be all in on Christianity and whatever the church tells you to believe. Otherwise, you're the enemy. So. Alrighty. Another day. Another video banned. That's why I have the banned playlist. But I noticed that I was being attacked. They weren't putting the videos in the playlist. Purposely attacking me. Dear God. Alrighty.